Doesn't mean we should not invest in space missions. When done right, scientific pursuits can help solve some of the most daunting challenges that humans face. But what happens when science is used for sinister objectives, which is always a downside and a potential downside? It can set dangerous precedents. Which brings us to the Communist Party of China. It is using science to expand its control over the people of China. Beijing has already built an unparalleled surveillance system. It now wants a new database for Tibet. Chinese officials are collecting DNA samples of Tibetans on a mass scale. These are blood and fingerprint samples. With this database, the Chinese state will be able to keep an eye on citizens for generations. Our next report tells you how.
Every human is unique. There are specific identifiers that sets us apart from the rest, like our fingerprints, the iris in the eye, even our voice. These features are not like the password of your email. They are almost impossible to replicate because they are defined by your DNA. What happens if someone gets access to your DNA? They can track you in ways you cannot even imagine. A new dystopian nightmare is unfolding in China. Tibet has been serving as a laboratory for the Chinese surveillance state. Surveillance techniques used in places like Xinjiang were tested and perfected in Tibet first. And now Chinese officials are conducting a new experiment. They are gathering DNA samples across Tibet. The Chinese say it is part of a crime detection drive. Officials collect two main kinds of samples, fingerprints and blood samples. The drive covers adults and children. Even kids as young as 5 years old have had their samples taken. Where are these samples going? To the Chinese police. The local cops are building a database about it. They began collecting DNA data in 2019. It is part of a policing campaign called the Three Greats: inspection, investigation, and mediation. This database can have a devastating effect on the Chinese society. Using it, China can identify not just dissidents, but also their families, even their close relatives. This is the next frontier for surveillance in China. DNA data is less likely to change over long periods of time. That's why the Communist Party is keen on building massive DNA databases. With millions of records in its archive, the Chinese state can track families through generations. What could that look like? Here is how Chinese investigators could use the DNA database. When they look for a suspect, they'll know about his or her parents, grandparents, even the ancestors. It will be the most comprehensive profile of a citizen. For Chinese investigators, such databases can generate a list of targets to go after. The Chinese state can even surveil future generations. DNA sampling tightens the Communist Party's grip. It makes sure the party stays in control, not just today, but in the future as well. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.